So for CertiK's side, we have Connie speaking today. She is one of the lead engineers and the lead of the CertiK incident response team. And then Celer and Electric Sheep, do you guys want to introduce yourselves and who you have speaking?
Sure. Hey, everyone. This is Mo from Celer. Great to be here and chat about Crosschain NFTs with our friends.
Hey guys, this is Frank and I am from Ultiverse, and today, first of all, thanks for having me here, and let's have fun.
Hi guys, Bowen here. I'm the social media marketing manager at Ultiverse, and glad to be on this AMA to be talking about everything you need to know about our Genesis.
Perfect. All right. And the topic today is technology behind cross-chain and NFT security. Let's see. Anybody want to take it away and give it a start?
Yeah, sure. Maybe, I can just first a quick introduce us a bit more, and kind of a segue into the topic that we're discussing, which is like the cross-chain NFT today. Right. So now, what Celer is? Celer is a cross-chain interoperability platform that is very generalized and built on a lot of different blockchains. So why do we need the interoperability platform in the first place, right? So because as we probably already all know, in the last 2 years, we're now entering a new world of multi-chain scalability, right? So like we didn't have enough capacity to host all the users and demands on one blockchain like Ethereum. That's why we started to have Polygon, we started to have Avalanche, we started to have all these other different blockchains like BNB chain, and then also layer 2 some Ethereum. Now, with these kind of multiple different blockchains, we're essentially trying to scale the entire blockchain space or entire blockchain ecosystem capacity and scalability with parallelism. So this is great. Now we have more users. We have a lot more users than 2 years ago. But what's also happening at the same time is that, we are essentially creating this kind of a parallel universe or essentially kind of a multiverse in the blockchain world, which are isolated together, isolated from each other, right? So, the users from one chain doesn't talk to the other chain, and the application, who are deployed multi-chains these days are essentially copying themselves across multiple different chains, right? So this leads to a lot of issues. For DeFi, it leads to fragmentation of liquidity. You basically, if you look at Sushi, right, so you have basically the same kind of liquidity pool across all the 17 different chains that it deployed on. And then you have users who has extremely high friction to kind of move between these different chains to kind of do trading, do all these different activities. But this is just for DeFi application. DeFi application are for savvy kind of blockchain native, crypto native users. But if you look at what's coming mainstream, which is like gaming, which is what we're going to talk about with Oliver's and also Electric Sheep today. These this gaming application will be facing towards a mass audience, and this kind of a friction that is separating between different chains, giving users a very confusing perspective of okay, where's my NFT located in? What is my NFT actually issued on? And these kind of things are going to be extremely confusing and also set a very high barrier to actually bring this technology to mass adoption, right? So that's what we're trying to solve here. We're trying to merge all these different blockchain representations and blockchain, multiverse together to, achieve this very unified view of the entire blockchain ecosystem, so that for the application builders perspective, they don't need to worry about which chain they're building the application on. And, also for application users, they can just like Celer can help to abstract away the fact they're actually interacting with multiple different blockchains, and just like have this one point of contact abstraction to just use application, use liquidity, use NFT and the marketplaces, and also like gaming applications from any chain they're on, but to any other chains that there exists. So that's basically what we have been working on. Now, just to kind of give a little bit, we can kind of start to talk more about like in detail what does cross-chain NFT mean. But happy to hand over the mic to Frank and other folks.
Yeah, thanks, Mo. Yeah, totally. I mean, for Ultiverse, actually, our goal is like totally aligned with Celer's vision about metaverse in the future. And actually, the ultimate goal of Ultiverse is to build a metaverse platform, or we call that a metaverse platform, where it's going to contain a series of games and all kinds of like Web3 activities, and maybe to name a few. So like we will bring in some like a partnership with like a different kind of DeFi platforms, and it's gonna integrate into our virtual city. For example, like each of the DeFi platform in our virtual city will have its bank building. So the user, when they walk into different banks, they can try different kind of a variety of like DeFi activities like lending, borrowing, all these things there. So, and also that would be like integrate like an NFT marketplace in our virtual city. And as Mo mentioned before, right, there are so many blockchains now and a lot of like isolated ecosystem. But for us, as when we are building a metaverse, we don't want all this kind of ecosystem to be isolated, because we want to embrace all the community from each blockchain and bring all of them together. So the goal of us will be like cross-chain ultimately, and to be able to transfer like NFT assets or tokens from one chain to another. So definitely what this is also about the partnership we start with Celer Network and also CertiK's about. And yeah, this is my couple cents about that, what we are building and what the metaverse in the future will be like.
Hey, thank you so much, Frank and Mo, for the intro. So this is Connie here from CertiK's. So CertiK's, we are a blockchain security company, and our mission is to make the Web3 world even more secure than the Web 2.0. And right now it's really a great moment that having inviting two pioneers in the future metaverse and NFT in order to discussing about the security concern here. So far, the CertiK have been offering like 360 degrees of a security solution in order to assisting our partner or maybe our project team to providing the security solutions, like including but not limited to just the auditing service, but we also offering like on-chain monitoring service and insurance KYC that making the whole project, bridging the project and the community more closely and transparent in some terms. And now, like in order to today's topic, will definitely will explore a lot more touch base between the NFT liquidity movement on the cross chain, and each of them maybe we can dive a little bit deeper later on, where all this security solution or maybe the collaboration can in between the projects and the security company can have a synergy on. So yeah, thanks. Chase.
Yeah, so you guys mentioned the partnership between Cellular and Ultiverse. Can you mention a little bit about that, like what you guys are working on together and how you're collaborating, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. So like, continuing on what I just mentioned, like Right now, if we're looking at the entire NFT space, right? So like basically you have the capability to issue an NFT, no problem, and you have the capability to list an NFT, that's also no problem. But also at the same time, we know that we're in this multi-chain world. Now, how do we move NFT from one chain to another? Well, you can. What you can do is you can, of course, use NFT bridges like what Celer provided to kind of essentially lock up your original and real NFT in one chain, and allow the kind of a bridging system to mint a representational copy of your NFT on a different chain. That works for legacy NFTs. Old NFTs wants to kind of bridge across different blockchains. But at the same time, we realize that there is a strong need in the community, and also Ultiverse is definitely pioneering this, and also kind of co-creating this entire concept with us, is to eradicate the concept of one NFT can only belong to one chain. You can now start to kind of issue NFTs that are truly multi-chain in nature, and they can kind of this cross-chain functionality will be built into the NFT itself, right? So like you can basically have, if we're talking about technical details, we're looking, if you look at the smart contract for these kind of a cross-chain NFT, it literally has a function called cross-chain. So that this NFT, it won't have whenever this NFT goes cross-chain, it will essentially disappear on the source chain and then appear on the destination chain. So you don't actually have the concept of, okay, you got your true original NFT locked up somewhere. You wouldn't have that kind of concept. It's really just like truly multi-chain mobility. Wherever you go, you're always getting the original and true copy of your NFT. So that's what really excites us, and collaborate with the Ultiverse and the Electric Ship team to build this kind of new concept together. And Frank can kind of probably talk a little bit more about like how they're using this and super exciting stuff.
Yeah, actually, when I talked with Mo several weeks ago about this concept, and I realized that Celer is already providing this kind of service, and super excited about that. So the reason why we want to use a native cross-chain smart contract for NFT minting is because in the bridging service that Celer or Mo mentioned before, it's you gonna transfer your NFT to a smart contract, and the bridging service gonna mint a replica on another chain. So actually, for the user standpoint of view, they kind of not the real owner of that chain or of that NFT, or maybe it's the chain service, the bridge service. They created a replica, but it's not like an authentic, the original NFT. But with the new solution provided by Celer, it's as a project and together with the Celer network, we deploy the smart contract onto different blockchains. So for example, if you, we can deploy on the same time to Ethereum and on BNB chain. So once you want to transfer the NFT from Ethereum to BNB chain, you actually are calling the same smart contract. Super convenient for the user, and actually the user are still the owner of that blockchain, of that NFT. So this is definitely something we want to try in the beginning, and this can also empower the whole, the system of Ultiverse, and about how we gonna transfer a different kind of NFT from different kind of ecosystems. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we've definitely bringing up cross-chain and bridges and everything. It's definitely been a big topic this year, especially in the security world with all the hacks and exploits we've seen going on. So I guess, Connie, do you have any advice or best practices on kind of cross-chain and bridges security?
Oh yeah. So we just did a little bit learning and summary aggregation the first Q1 that happened in the past 3 months. So the cross bridges almost we identify every month we'll have at least one cross bridge exploit. And in among the 3 months, the exploit amount or the total loss amount has been more than $1 billion. So it really caught out the attentions. Like when people were like fast play development, like a lot of a great idea in between moving the liquidity from one side to the other side. But at some point, the security concern are really bring up in the discussions. So in order from some of the learning that we have done in the past, many times like when the cross breach exploit happen, right? People will think about the problem would be happen on one side, but ideally it might not be the true fact, because I think from the cross breach issue, most of the time people were only checking out on the destination, what happened on the destination side, that they were receiving all the digital assets. But in the reality, it might be happen from the original source, which is the original place that people were initiating the request for the transfer actually having the issue. So in here, we strongly recommend that when people were doing the security, assessment, it could be like in-house or seeking for like professional provider in order to complete. It's better to recommend to having like those check on the both like original chain and the destination chain. Just make sure that it's like an end-to-end coverage and end-to-end understanding what's the primary issue of it. And besides that, another concern that bring up the cross bridge is right now the cross bridge is still relies on heavily on the centralized system. So which means that the private key management is definitely become one of the bigger concerns. So in terms of the like people will usually perform security audit on the smart contract protocol layer, and many other firms also project will also seeking for like Web 2.0 security audits. I know that Celer is also doing that all full coverage. But at the end, the last issue or the witness part would be the key management part. And this is something that I highly recommend the project team that able to having a better place or better like in-house practice on the security security process, or standardize some of the documentation in-house so people can follow it, make sure that everything is safe stored in a safe place.
Yeah, thanks for these kind of security best practices. Just to kind of chime in on the security side a little bit more here.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a lot of breach hacks in the last quarter, which really makes us like as also a fellow interoperability space builder, right? So like we don't want to see that, because every time we see that, even though like it's not us, it makes the entire space feels a little bit more worried about like the interoperability or bridging space in general. So, from our perspective, right, so like there are two aspects of bridging security that we have practiced during this, entire process. And I agree with Connie on some of the points, 100%. For example, like the entire protocol itself need to be fully decentralized. It cannot be hosted by like a few confined parties, like some of the, events that previously happened. So that, even if there's a one, party's operational issue get like hacked or something like that, it won't actually affect the entire system, so that everyone start to have like a slightly different security stack. And that is quite important. This is why Celer's bridge is being secured by some of the biggest stakers in the entire ecosystem, like Everstake, like Cosmos Station, like Binance, like Instone, and so many others. So that's kind of like on the operational side. Now on the design of the architecture side of things, like the Celer's interoperability platform is secured by something called SGN, State Guardian Network, which in itself is a Cosmos-based blockchain. So it's providing layer 1 level security out of the gate. So it's the same security model, securing Cosmos, securing Osmosis, securing Terra, securing Polygon. It's the same underlying stuff. Now, what happens if you don't even trust this entire chain? Well, Celer also provides this kind of optimistic roll-up security model, where let's say when you're cross-chaining an NFT, right? So like you're saying, okay, my NFT is burned on one chain and want to mint the NFT on a different chain. During that time, the minting action will first be put into a quarantine zone, mandatory quarantine zone in the destination chain. And then after a certain delay, this kind of a quarantined request can actually be executed on the destination chain, right? So now between during that quarantine timeout or during the quarantine delay, applications or each of the validators in the entire validation system can cross-check essentially like what's happening on the source chain, right? So like you essentially have the capability to continuously monitor the entire bridge system's invariant to be unchanged. If there's any violation, the quarantine request can be cut off from actually executing, right? So this also allows very high capability of kind of preventing any kind of hack, even under the worst case of like the entire consensus failure, right? And then on the operation side, you have the capability to do rate limiting, you have the capability to do continuous 24-hour 7 days monitoring. These are all the measures that we make to kind of try to do this. So yeah, definitely security is like extremely important. But I think things like the kind of hack that essentially in one block or in one transaction steal all the funds or steal all the NFTs in some of the other kind of bridging and the interoperability ecosystems. This kind of thing is physically not possible and enforced by the smart contract layer, for Celer. So like this is what we have been doing on the security side.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear that everything you guys are doing to kind of stay on top of that, because I like that you mentioned the decentralization aspect, because in our State of DeFi Security report we put out at the beginning of this year, we noted that centralization was like the main attack vector of 2021, and it's kind of being overlooked now, sort of. Everyone's kind of getting past that, so it's important to stick to that and make sure you guys got the security down. On the topic of NFTs, what do you guys think are the biggest challenges or bottlenecks in the NFT space, and what are ways do you think we could get around that? I mean, I know they've been growing quite rapidly. New chains are picking them up, Ethereum, Solana, and everything. But what do you guys see as the main challenges?
Yeah, I would say like to make an NFT project to be very successful, there would be like several kinds of facts. For example, like the artwork, like the community, and also the team behind the NFT project. And the most important part I see it's like what's a roadmap? Is the roadmap a very solid one? And how will the team do the execution? So from my understanding, is like now there are a lot of NFT projects on the market, and this game is getting harder and harder. Everyone want to be yoga, but it takes a lot of effort to be there. So from my understanding, it's like if you want to be really outstanding in this space, you definitely need to have a really good or really solid plan about how do you provide different kind of utilities for your NFT, and what will your product be like, and what will be the story of the NFT you're gonna tell, and ultimately what kind of thing you will put the NFT in, like is that a game or is that a metaverse? I think this matters a lot.
Yeah, so I probably can talk about a little bit about the smart contracts that were designed for the NFT type. So until now, like the most of the or maybe the from exploit and like from the like the auditing process that we identify, many people sometimes was like for instance like not handling well about the reentrancy attack, and that one especially with the ERC 721 and ERC 1155, it happened a lot. And other than that, also when people were trying to design an NFT marketplace smart contract, they will have a special logic in order to loop over all the lists within the within the contract itself. It could be like, for instance, like transferring all the NFT assets from one account to the other one. In here, there is a tricky part. It's like doing the transfer, it could be like one single NFT transfer, or it could be doing like a batch transfer. So what we see the most is like people were not able to think through that when they are transferring more than like 1,000 collections of an NFT from one account to the other one. It might ending up with like the array is like super huge, so it will causing the running out of the gas, which is like exceeding the limit that a transaction can be handling. So I would recommend like when people were designing such as logic or functionality, they can think about not just from one side, but one single NFT, right? But you have to think about how you're going to deal with like 1,000 or maybe like even more than that, because like you want your platform, especially for an NFT marketplace, you have your business is ongoing exponentially. So this is something that we will see a lot during the audit. And other type of error that we found out is people always forget to implement the fallback function on the ERC 1155 and 271. Because this is a function that needed when you to receiving the NFT within the safe transfer from and functions. So without implement that one, your whole transaction will be reverted. So this is something that will be cautioned when you like as a developer side, you should pay attention on. And the other part would be more is we do see that people were always like lack of validate the input parameters. What that means is usually they will have like a function for, especially for saying like sell and sell, and by given an NFT address, and then they want to sell it to with a given price and maybe to any of the ERC20 address. So when you when everyone was implementing such function, it always need to be input and make sure that all the given input are validated. Just make sure that the hacker will not able to maliciously inject any of the invalid parameters. So it could like screw up the whole the NFT contract or the marketplace interactions. And lastly, which is really important, is people were not pay attention on the minting logics. So people sometimes might update the inappropriate variable during the minting process. So for instance, some of the account balance, they forget to reduce the amount, or maybe the fee were not collect properly. So in making that there are some loss during the transaction process. And we also see like there is some like logic or design that people able to purchase the NFT without paying any money. So this is something that when from the engineering side, when you're designing a smart contract or a logic flow, this is the top priority that need to be pay attention on.
Yeah, these are all great advices for building and maintaining the NFT for sure. I think, from our side, like I think the biggest challenge for NFT, one of the biggest challenges, of course, is the capability to accept a broader audience, right? So like right now, today, if you look at the NFT project and also NFT marketplaces, they're all residing on one chain, right? So it's either issuing NFT on this chain, and that's it. Like you don't have the capability to start to accept the audiences from all the other different networks and community and blockchains, right? So what we're enabling with Ultiverse and also Electric Chip NFT in this particular aspect is to transform that, like fundamentally transform the NFT so that like you can actually, as a user, you can take your NFT anywhere, you can list your NFT anywhere. And then start to accept audience from all the other different places. So that's kind of trying to solve this audience and onboarding a problem better, basically. But also at the same time, like we're collaborating with NFT marketplaces where even though let's say a marketplace is sitting on Ethereum like OpenSea or sitting on BNB like Dollar, so they can start to accept the purchase orders from all the other different blockchains users, right? So like and from any other different token, right? So like let's say you have an NFT marketplace that is only accepting Ethereum as a purchase basis token on one chain, and then you can actually have the capability to allow a user from the entire different chain, let's say Avalanche or BNB chain, to directly purchase the token using BNB directly with one click, and doesn't have to kind of even move between different chains. Right? So combined with this kind of a cross-chain NFT functionality, this is super strong, because like I as a user can just purchase NFT anywhere and get that NFT to my kind of a home chain, if you may, immediately, without actually kind of needing to cross-chain migrate my asset and then interact with different chain and then bring the NFT back. So these are all kind of solved with the combination of a cross-chain NFT marketplace and also a cross-chain native NFT.
Yeah, and also to add like a couple of cents about what Mo is talking about. Actually, in Ultiverse, we're also trying to build a in-game NFT marketplace, and our ultimate goal is that would be a marketplace, and the user they can integrate. No matter what kind of chain they're using, no matter what kind of chain that NFT belongs to, they can go to the same marketplace and do the trading there. That would be no gap and no need to go through any bridges from one chain to another, all in one, and super convenient for them to use. So super excited about this kind of future.
Gotcha. That all makes sense to me. And at the end of the day, blockchain is still technology, and there's a bunch of users who may not necessarily understand NFTs or the security around it. What do you guys think we can do? And I guess on top of that, is it our responsibility to kind of educate users about the technology and security? And kind of what can we do, in your opinion, to help that?
Yeah, so from our side as an application or as a metaverse, we have a huge group of community members, and I think that's a responsibility for us to educate all the users, all the community members about what kind of technologies we are using, and just like what we're doing in the current Discord channel, Discord server, or on our Twitter accounts, we give all information about the technologies that we are using and the infrastructures that we use. And also in the future, before the minting day, we also gonna set up a very detailed step-by-step guide for all the users, just to make sure they don't have any troubles during the minting. So I think definitely this is very important. And I also would like to know what Mo and Connie thought about this.
Yeah, so from the NFT side, I think other than the smart contract security, people should also keep their password safely, because there is still a lot of combination in between. Is Web 2.0 attack vector. For instance, hacker very easily can, if you don't have a really strong password, right? People can break your password in a very convenient way. And maybe if you were not cautiously storing your social media login access, people those hackers are also able to easily stolen your accounts, and then to pretend to be you and taught to order to transfer those NFT assets. So I would say from the general or community side, just make sure that you always will have a best practice on your personal sensitive data saving. And I believe that Chase will also share a little bit more on these educational pieces from CertiK's perspective.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I've noticed as an NFT user and everything is kind of on the security side is the worry of phishing attacks and connecting wallets to nefarious sites or whatnot that will, you give them access to your wallet and they can steal your NFTs. So I think just being very wary of that and double checking and researching everything that you're connecting your wallet to or minting and stuff like that is a good first step for typical users. And on CertiK's side, I mean, we always say security isn't sexy and it's not something everybody always wants to learn about. But I mean, we put out blogs, tweets, and videos about what users can do to kind of stay on top of that. So I definitely recommend checking out some of the blogs on our website and videos on our YouTube to kind of see what you can do to protect yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. Like security is definitely kind of a big thing here. And hopefully over time we start to have like more infrastructures surrounding NFT and surrounding the crypto in general. Like, but NFT especially because NFT is really where we're touching the mass market right now for the blockchain technology to make it easier for users to actually secure their NFT and secure their accounts. One other thing that we have been kind of trying to educate the community on is like what they can actually do with their NFT, right? So like, NFT we started with like the entire the PFP space, but like it's definitely more than that. For example, like Ultiverse and the Electric Ship, those NFT probably not gonna stay as a profile picture, forever, right? So like as Frank mentioned, the roadmap of this is super exciting, and what we're really seeing in the Web3 world is to return the ownership of user identity and user data to the user themselves instead of actually kind of having to, host these data in centralized places. So this ignites a lot of exciting things like UGC that is not even possible before, and user can build meta games essentially kind of on top of the existing games like what Ultiverse has been building. So like all these things become super exciting because like you can actually use your NFT in innovative ways. And I think the only thing that is kind of missing in the space right now is the infrastructure to allow users to do that, right? So like, you have your NFT, but you don't really have a very good way to kind of like Roblox or Minecraft to kind of actually interact with your NFT and build on top of this. And I think this is something that like super exciting teams like Ultiverse is doing to kind of transform that into kind of a real, Ultiverse or metaverse of like a NFTs for the users and allow users to kind of exert their creativity to kind of build a new world here. So yeah, that's something that I think we all need to kind of collectively educate the community on.
Yeah, thanks, Mo. Yeah, so regarding that one, yeah, definitely. I'm not sure how much I can spoil at this moment. So definitely a lot of utilities that we're gonna provide for NFTs. Like it's not only just a PFP NFT, not just the avatar, but you're gonna have a lot of privileges in our next release of our product. For example, in the virtual city, the electric NFT will be the early pass for that. So. And a lot of news. I mean, we will give a lot of release about what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. So please stay tuned about Ultiverse and about Electric Ship NFT.
Kind of getting away from security for a minute and just general NFT topics. Ultiverse, do you have any? I mean, as an NFT user, as I mentioned, I've been on the bad side of a mint to where you don't really get a chance. Do you have any advice or anything for ensuring a fair launch for NFTs? Like what you guys have done or what you think should be done?
Yeah, for sure. So the fire launch is this concept is to make sure that each user they have the kind of same chance to mint that NFT, right? So I think a common way to do that is like through whitelist or some like a third-party tools or services like Premint, So and if but on the other side, like if we are talking about like the public sale or the NFT review. So there are also like some options, like maybe from the technical standpoint of view, So also maybe let's take an example, like first of all, like for sure, you should prevent the leakage of your smart contract. So you don't let the speculators find out like the source code or your API. So just don't let them get all the details, and they will be ready, or they will get all the tools and all the strategies ready even before you start your public sale. And this is the first point. And also like during the minting, I think you can also use some like anti-bot services, for example, like a capture. This is just to make sure all the participants or each of them is actually a human, not a bot, right? And also like while during the like NFT revealing process, so if you are like the project team, you definitely should not just assign the token URI directly. It's always good to use like some variable, verifiable random functions, which will be provided by a lot of services, right? This is to just make sure the random is actually truly random, not some fake ones. And also, I think the team should also like commit a hash of maybe the mapping between the token ID and also the metadata. This is to ensure that it's all this information, all this data is actually like a pre-generated, and it cannot be modified in the future. Yeah, these are like a couple cents from my side.
Yeah, that makes sense, and definitely something I think users are hungry for and would like to see implemented more often, because you kind of get those launches that don't give everybody a fair shot. Just kind of they pick who's allowed in. But now we're going to open it up to some community questions. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and request to speak, and you might get picked.
Yeah, and also before that, I want to say like for all the community members from Ultiverse, so now I'm gonna tell you the secret word of this AMA. So just to remember the secret word and get ready for a whitelist. So the secret word for today is safe, S-A-F-E, safe. All right, I will pass that back to you. Sorry, Chase, do you want to select some community questions?
Yep, Karan is connecting right now. Yep, go ahead.
To speak. I would like to ask that many times developers are not experienced enough. It can be for NFT smart contracts or any of the IDO of DeFi or anything. So what they do is they outsource the security audit, and then just by paying $1,000 to $2,000 they get it done, and they mention that it's audited, and then hack happens. But their side of answer is that they cannot afford to hire, let's say, any agency which is very famous and asking for $100,000 or like bigger amount for audit. So what's your view for all the projects who are coming up but they don't have budget of like 100 or more $1,000, $100,000 plus for security audits, but at the same time it's very important. Without security they need to cry later. So what's your advice as a security firm?
Yeah, so I guess this is a very good question. I think like if you are from the business owner side, right, you hire inexperienced I would say like at least like during the pre-screening stage, trying to work with the engineer that at least I understand what is a ERC 721, like what kind of things that they're trying to build as like a minimum. And then in that terms, I would recommend like there's still a lot of the attack vector is where like hacker usually will be like repeat and repeat reusable attack vector. So if like large amounts of the order is your concern at the moment, I think like it could be for instance, like checking out our Medium blogs, because we usually will putting out like a lot of analysis like after each of the attack happens. And then the second one is also like trying to following the good best practice of general like codings, like coding practice. For instance, like trying to narrow down what kind of things that you guys are building up, and having at least like people to reviewing the such design. And then, for instance, like after the coding phases, maybe having a peer to review your source code, try to write a lot of unit tests, just make sure that cover all the cases that you guys will think through, and then don't be rushed to rolling out to the market, but at least like having several rounds of a review with different things of focus. For instance, like the first round could be like functionality, a security review. The second round could be like coding practice review. And the third one would be more as like a business logic review. So it could be trended into the different spaces. So this might be helping and improving a lot on your, during the coding phases. And then at the end, if because for my auditing firm, right, we were asking, sometimes it really depends on the complexity of the code and also like the documentation that the project team provided. So if you guys have able to provide like really I would say like some of the documentation about what kind of thing you guys building, and also from the technical design document, it also will be helping the security firm to reduce their times to understand your system at the nutshell. So this will also helping to optimize the pricing and all that.
Thanks a lot. Sure, we'll check your blog for all the minimum security measures people should take.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Yeah, the blog, and I mean, we have the CertiK's Twitter where we kind of put out analysis on whatever exploits there were. So it's definitely a lot of information out there users and builders can find to kind of know what to look for and what to stay away from. Hope that answers your question.
Yes.
It was a very good question.
Yeah, so we also rolling out our new CertiK's alert. So we keep capturing, like a lot of different vulnerability that happening. So it could be like your fast way to get like knowing about what is the incident that happening right now, and would it be related to your maybe like to the contract or the logic that you guys are developing at the moment.
All right, Alexander, you've been connected for your question. Hello? Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, good. So firstly, thank you for Amma. As usual, it was very interesting, especially to listen about multi-chain NFT on new smart contracts, and it sounds very promising. So first question is for the guests. In case we are transferring NFTs between chains, do we pay a double fee in this case, or how fee will work here? And second question will be for the game developers. It's about the nicknames. Like, is it will be possible to claim or buy or sell the nicknames actually in the game? Thank you.
Yeah, let me first take the fee question, right? So like, for Crosschain NFT, how does it work? Is that you're essentially kind of paying the gas fee on the destination chain to say, okay, I want to kind of essentially burn and transfer my NFT from like one chain to another. So, the first step is, of course, you need to pay the gas fee on the source chain. And then, when the NFT get created or get popped up on the destination chain you're bridging into, or you're kind of moving your NFT to, yes, you will also pay the gas fee there. So like these kind of two fees are not avoidable anyway, right? So like, yes, you do need to pay gas fees. But the good thing is that if you can move between these kind of low-cost blockchains, so the fee in general will be very low. Now, there is also in the middle, like basically you're using the cross-chain infrastructures, right? So like this is where you will also be paying some cross-chain infrastructure fees to move the NFT through. And the fee is really corresponding to the complexity of the information passed between different chains. For NFT, however, in general, the information is relatively simple and the fee is not that high at all. And so that's just kind of a quick question on a quick response on the fee side. I think Frank can probably comment on the other
Yeah,
side.
yeah, for sure. Thanks, Mo. And Alex, I think you're asking about that nickname, right? So in our game, there are actually a lot of like different kind of names or different kind of characters, or like for 10,000 of them. Each of them will have a name. And what our goal for Ultiverse or for the electric NFT is like we want all the holders or each players, everyone in the Web3 world could be able to tell their own stories. So definitely you not only have your chance to purchase a nickname or define or claim or name yourself, but also you can like write a story for a character, and all the related stuff can be created by yourself. Yeah, I hope this answers your question.
Got one more connecting. Osman, you there?
No, I really like your project and I hope this a future good project. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. And one more.
Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, hello. My questions. Hello.
Yep, we can hear you.
Hello. My questions. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My questions, what precautions does the Ultiverse take regarding the damage caused by NFT to the environment with the high amount of electrical energy they consume, and the fact that they are very open to intellectual property, because there is no central authority? Thank you.
Frank, did you get that one?
So is the questions related to the fee, or is more related to the centralization issue? I might be miscapped on that part.
All right, well, I don't think...
Yeah, maybe sorry.
Gotcha.
Or maybe you can just DM the question, and if it's possible.
All right, well, I think we're running out of time here. We've went an hour now, so I just want to thank everyone for joining. Frank, Mo, Celer, Electric Sheep, everybody. I think we got a lot of good information out there, and I don't know if you guys have any closers, but...
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Frank, go ahead. Sorry.
Go. Yeah, actually, I just want to mention again to all the community members of Ultiverse. So we have a secret word today, which is SAFE, S-A-F-E, and get ready for the whitelist. Go ahead, Mo. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. So thanks for hosting this, CertiK's team and Chance and, Connie and Frank. Great to be here with you guys, and looking forward to the launch of Ultiverse and the Electric Shift NFTs. And if you're, in the audience and want to kind of try out the cross-chain, bridges, you can try at cbridge.celer.com. .network. We have been helping users to sell the 7 Cs.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time to join us today, and looking forward to that fair launch from you guys, Frank.
Thank you, Trace, and thanks for having me here today. And look forward to the partnership.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you next time maybe.